So happy holidays to all of you and welcome back to the channel. I am coming to you from Indianapolis, Indiana today. I had to leave home uh, at Christmas to come deal with a work issue. So I'm here in Indianapolis and I wasn't able to finish the last video I was working on there. So I'll be finishing it here in the hotel. Last week I was in Georgia and was fortunate enough to get to Sobe Creek, which is a state park area in a very well manicured neighborhood, kind of an odd place for this park to be. But I took my camera out there and was looking to get some shots of the Sobe Creek and the surrounding forest area. My original goal was to go on the evening before and do some scouting and kind of look for some areas that I could go back to do a sunrise photo. But unfortunately, the location itself and the footprint of the lake and the way the forest was laid out didn't make it very conducive to a sunrise shot. So I decided to stay and do some photos that night. It was beautiful. The weather was warm and the skies were, nice and blue and had some, beautiful cloud to it. So I did a little time lapse and did some photos, and it was just a great little area. One of the issues with the area being so nice was the fact that it was packed. Lots of families there, lots of kids. It was a Saturday afternoon, so it made it challenging to vlog there. Not so much for any embarrassment speaking to the camera, more so because it was loud. Lots of kids throwing rocks and sticks and running around, and kids doing what kids do. It made it challenging for the photos and for the time lapse as well. When you're set up by the lake and kids are throwing rocks in and sticks in and looking for fish and things like that, it doesn't make for a very calm and peaceful lake area. So, but I did get a time lapse in, which I was excited about, and I'll have that somewhere in this video. And I got a few photos as well. In between the families coming and going on the little dock area where I was able to get a few photos, and I was actually quite happy with them. So getting back to the photos at Sobe Creek, what made them so remarkable for me was it was the first time I'd ever done any exposure blending. It's something I've never attempted before. So the two final shots I have are a blend of 3 exposures each. One for the dark water, one for the kind of the mid-lit trees in the forest in the background, and then one that was exposed for the sky. Although there was very little wind, I had to be quick with the exposures because the clouds were moving quite fast, and I didn't want them to be too out of alignment when I merged those in Lightroom. I used the photo merge tool, HDR tool in Lightroom, and I think it did a pretty good job with managing the ghosting. I will say that when you blend images in Lightroom with the HDR tool, it does crank up the saturation and the highlights and the brightness quite a bit. So it did come out looking a little bit unrealistic. You want to make sure that when you use that tool that you dial back some of the sliders in Lightroom before you make your final edit. The one that I did originally came out quite bright and poppy and very saturated, which I wanted to kind of pull back a little bit. It's probably still a little bit oversaturated from where it is right now, but much better than where it was when I first completed the merge. I really like the composition of the photos. I think it's a step up for me in seeing that, and I think at a better time of year, whether that would be spring or summer or fall, would be a much better time to go there. So I'll have to make a point to go back. Coming into the beginning of winter, Georgia is a little bit late, just like Florida is, to see the fall colors kind of finish. But by the time I got there, they were done. I mean, it was you know, the 20th, 21st of December when I was out there shooting. So there was very little color left at all, and it was more of an exercise in, you know, composition and exposure blending for me, to be honest. It's easy to see why photographers, you know, this time of year and going into the winter do so many, you know, review videos and gear videos and what's in my bag videos, because it's hard to find, you know, locations to get to that offer any kind of interest, I guess, when there's either no snow or no good weather. Not that I don't appreciate those videos. I think they're great. I think it's always fun to see, you know, what's in somebody's camera bag and what could I get that maybe help me with my photography. You know, the guys who are shooting in Australia right now are coming into summer for them, and you know, it's fun watching them and kind of living vicariously through you know, the guys hitting the beach and going to see some of the beautiful areas there. So that's been good too. So one last thing to mention, even though I'm not a, you know, a landscape photographer, or, you know, I'm very new to, you know, the landscape genre in general, and honestly, you know, creating videos and YouTube content. If I can give anybody some advice, if you're getting started out and you want to do time lapses, do not use the time lapse feature that is on your camera. This was a mistake that I made in creating this last time lapse. I've done time lapses before for this channel where, you know, I did the individual images and then was able to edit those individually and put them together. This one, I thought I was doing the right thing, and I used the time lapse feature. And when you take all those images, I think there was about 1,000 images total, your camera software will put them into an actual movie format for you, which makes it much more difficult to edit the scenes individually to get proper exposure. So like I said, you know, with the 3 exposure blend I did, it was a very high dynamic range area and high contrasty area, and so it was difficult to get the video footage of a time lapse edited as much as possible. So that may look a little bit, you know, hot and cold and high and low key. You know, lesson learned for next time. So lastly, I want to thank each and every one of you who subscribed and or watched my videos. You've all made it much easier for me to stay motivated with photography and to get out and you know, work on, you know, the genre that's landscapes. Shooting food for me is very easy and can be done kind of anywhere. Landscapes is, you know, much more of a, you got to plan it out and make it happen. And you guys have all provided me, you know, the motivation to go out and do that. Lots of you are, you know, landscape photographers yourselves, and like me, YouTube content creators, and I've enjoyed watching all your videos, and I've learned so much from this community as a whole, that it has been, you know, kind of one of my bright spots for 2020. Being able to find that kind of camaraderie and companionship, even though it's maybe virtual. I feel like through your videos, I've gotten to know a lot of you pretty well, and we've spoken in comments and things like that, and I appreciate it. I hope you all have a safe and happy holidays, and I look forward to seeing what we all can do in 2021. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.